Sounding the alarms over a delayed ambulance, an Ottawa woman shares her story of a 3-hour-long wait after a bad fall that left her in urgent need. Good afternoon. This is CTV News at 5. I'm Stefan. Paramedics responding today to an Ottawa woman sharing her harrowing story of just how long she had to wait for an ambulance. She says it took 3 hours for one to arrive after a recent fall and feels her emergency didn't get the response time one would expect. CTV's Dylan Dyson joins us live with more details. Dylan.
Yeah, that's right, Stefan. 75-year-old Sandy Kratzbarg took a fall on December 21st, breaking her femur in one leg and tibia in the other. 911 was called, but what followed was a painfully long 3-hour wait until paramedics finally arrived to deliver care. Sandy's husband, Sid, told us that it took 2 hours before an ambulance arrived at the home, only for it to pull out and leave before paramedics even got out. The family says it wasn't until an hour later that another ambulance arrived and Sandy was treated for her broken legs.
As we were looking out the window, the ambulance turned around and left. About 5 to 10 minutes later, the dispatcher called and said that, oh, sorry, there was a life-threatening emergency. I understand, but it's so hard to justify the wait time.
In a statement, Ottawa paramedics confirmed that 3 ambulances were in fact sent to the Kratzbarg's emergency, but the first 2 were redirected for life-threatening calls. The service says that on that December 21st day, between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m., paramedics responded to more than 50 life-threatening calls, adding that events that day were uncommon. For now, Sid says his wife Sandy is recovering at the Kenville Hospital, but there is a long road ahead of her given the femur break, which can take anywhere from 12 to 18 months to fully heal. Stefan.
All right, CTV's Dylan Dyson reporting for us. Thank you, Dylan. Firefighters confirming a blaze overnight has been fatal for 4 household pets. 911 was called just after 2:30 this morning when flames could be seen coming from the basement of a home on Dieppe Street in the Vanier neighborhood. Firefighters say the 4 people living there made it out unscathed, but the pets did not. 3 cats and a dog died as a result of the fire. The cause is under investigation. Across the river in Quebec, residents have reported feeling a rumbling early this morning, and we can confirm it was an earthquake. Earthquake Canada says it registered with a low-level strength near the Ontario border, about 30 kilometers north of Hawkesbury. A 2.8 magnitude quake is considered minor. So far, no reports of damage. Sens goalie Linus Ullmark is breaking his silence over online rumors of infidelity being the reason for his leave of absence. The star athlete spoke with TSN's Claire Hanna. The full 26-minute interview is on the network's YouTube channel. But here's some of what he had to say.
Normally, when somebody takes a leave of absence, we'd want to respect the privacy, but given the fact that your leave became so public and that the organization also released a statement that was very strongly worded, we have to ask, why did you take the leave of absence?
So the real reason is mental health. And there's been a lot going on for a long time, I would say dating back to ever since the trade. Things has been piling on, off the ice, on the ice, stuff like that. And it comes a time, and you never know when, where the cup starts to overflow. And for me, that was the game against Toronto, where I was having panic attacks, not attacks, but, you know, seriously having anxiety problems and panic in between first and second period and leading into the first period.
In other news, a celebration of life today for a well-known community champion who is no longer with us. Over the years, Tysen Lefebvre raised $1 million for the Make-A-Wish Foundation and captured the hearts of many who had the honor of meeting him. CTV's Caitlin Wilson joins us live from the Canadian Tire Centre, where the service will be held tonight. Caitlin.
Yeah, Stefan, and speaking with those who knew Tysen, you really get a sense that he loved life and lived it to the fullest. He was known for his love of hockey, relentless fundraising, and drive to pay it forward. The doors at the CTC here will open at 6:30. Organizers say about 600 people have already registered, but they expect many more to come through the doors to honor the legacy he leaves behind. Born with a rare genetic condition, Tysen faced medical challenges throughout his life, but his love for hockey never changed. As a teenager, Tysen played hockey with the capital city Condors, and beyond the rink, he received a wish through Make-A-Wish Canada when he was younger, sparking his mission to $1 million, where he raised $1 million, helping grant wishes for 100 other kids. He died on Christmas Day at the age of 25. We spoke with the president of the Condors earlier today. Here's what he had to say.
He was just always, everything was about let's go have some fun. And so he made every environment that way too. And that kind of person is contagious. And I think that's the impact that a young person can have, especially one who's overcoming so many of their own personal challenges and yet stays so positive and encouraging.
And Tysen also worked as an accessibility ambassador with the Ottawa Senators here at the CTC, where in a little more than an hour, the doors are set to open. Family members, loved ones, and community members are set to gather. There will be a number of speakers tonight, including Tysen's parents. And those I spoke with earlier today, who are expected to be here shortly, said the best way to honor his legacy is by how he lived, bringing people together and giving back. Stefan?
He'll certainly be missed. CTV's Caitlin Wilson reporting live on location for us tonight. Thank you, Caitlin. Prime Minister Mark Carney delivered a message at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland today, showing support for Greenland's sovereignty.
On Arctic sovereignty, we stand firmly with Greenland and Denmark and fully support their unique right to determine Greenland's future.
The Danish territory has been the subject of international discussions lately as U.S. President Donald Trump has expressed a desire to take it over. And despite the growing opposition from Canada and other countries, the U.S. president is not backing down. Former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is also there, where he once again rejected any talk of Canada becoming the 51st state. Trudeau was accompanied by his partner, pop star Katy Perry, who sat in the front row. The former PM also spoke about Canada not meddling in other countries' affairs to take oil. Trudeau and Perry ducked out after the talk without speaking to the throng of journalists attempting to ask them questions. Former federal Justice Minister Jody Wilson-Raybould has announced she will be starting treatment for breast cancer. In a post on social media, she says the treatment comes following recent surgery. Raybould calls the situation scary and unsettling, but says she takes strength from the many people who have shared stories of resilience and healing with her over the years. Wilson-Raybould spent 3 years in former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's Liberal cabinet before she resigned and was re-elected to her Vancouver riding as an independent in 2019. In developing news, the Ontario Liberal caucus is recommending John Fraser for interim leader, a role he is poised to hold for a third time. Riding Association presidents and executive council still have to vote on that choice, which will happen in the coming days. The party has also said full leadership race details will be released on February 9th. It comes after Bonnie Crombie stepped down last week. Fraser has served as the MPP for Ottawa South since 2013. Coming up on CTV News at 5, how the cost of coffee is impacting local businesses. And our Jackie Pears is here with the first look at the forecast. Jackie.
Thanks so much, Stefan. We had a fairly mild but windy winter day, but the snow is on the way and a much colder weekend is also in store. Here's a closer look at our conditions right now. Mainly clear skies, and as we get towards tomorrow morning, it's going to be a cloudier start to the day. It's not until the afternoon, at least here in the capital, we'll start to see snow. We are anticipating between 3 to 5 centimeters. Overnight temperatures, though, still fairly mild, minus 13 overnight, but the wind gusts will continue up to 40 kilometers per hour. Tomorrow, daytime high, minus 7. We'll have a full look at your forecast in just a bit. Stefan.
Thanks, Jackie. Here's what you need to know. The Ottawa Charge will hit the ice in New Jersey tonight, taking on the New York Sirens. Puck drop is 7 p.m. You can watch Tuesday night matchups on Amazon Prime. A live check on traffic right now. Westbound of the Queensway, slow from Bronson to Woodruff. Eastbound Carlington Nicholas, and there is a collision near Bronson in the eastbound lanes. The 174 eastbound is slow from the split to Montreal Road, and the 416 southbound slow around Baseline. We'll be right back. Welcome back to CTV News at 5. Here in the nation's capital, feelings of job insecurity are sky high, with the federal government looking to slash jobs as part of its cost-saving measures. But we're also hearing that the pressure to be in the office has some calling out the employer for changing its tune. There are public servants who say they took positions with the impression working remotely wasn't an issue, but are now being told they need to show up for an Ottawa job when they don't even live in the city. News Talk Radio 580 CFRA is putting this question to its listeners. Is it fair to mandate relocation for remote hires?
I strongly believe that remote working is something that has been very successful within the infrastructure of almost every company. It was working for the federal government.
Christy Cameron is here with more. Christy, this is a huge topic. I know people that work in the government say, part of my team's out west in Winnipeg.
And we don't have exact numbers, but I did have the head of the Public Service Alliance of Canada on the show today, the Vice President, pardon me, Alex Silas, who confirmed that there are workers with Global Affairs Canada that live in cities like Montreal, where they were hired just prior to the pandemic or during the pandemic. And he says they were verbally told, that's okay, you can live in Montreal, you can live in another city, you'll be teleworking full time. And now he says they have been told they have to come back, even though they may own a home somewhere else. They may have children that are in school. They may have built an entire life. He said they've been told they've got to come back.
We know that some people or some members of the public have had very little sympathy for public servants, but are your listeners sympathizing with this issue?
Yeah, a little bit here and there. I mean, it kind of turns into a battle of who has it the worst in terms of working conditions. But, you know, I did have Lior Samfiru on the show, who's an employment lawyer. And he said to me, if you have a verbal agreement with your employer and they say you can work telework full time, that is technically legally binding. But good luck, because if you don't have proof of it, then you can't back it up.
All right. Thank you for this, Christy.
Get it in writing.
Very interesting topic for sure. You can join the conversation and leave a comment through the Talkback feature on the iHeartRadio app. You can listen live to Christy Cameron on News Talk 580 CFRA weekdays from 2 to 6. And now watch Christy's segments anytime on YouTube. Subscribe to the News Talk 580 CFRA page. Pressure is percolating in the local coffee business as the cost of beans continues to spike. According to StatsCan, the price of coffee has reportedly spiked 30% in a single year. Most will notice the increase while grocery shopping. Big companies like Timmy's and McDonald's are freezing prices or doing what they can to not download it to consumers, and so are independent coffee shops. But shop owners say it's still grounds for concern, with some suggesting the cost of doing business for them is actually higher than the 30% average.
Our price increase was between 40 and 45% rather than 30% because, again, a higher quality coffee, attract, definitely higher prices. We had to absorb, most of it. We did have a small increase.
Economists have been warning about rising coffee costs for some time now. Factors like weather variability resulting in less supply means a higher global demand is hard to meet, and the rate of inflation is also having coffee lovers feeling burned.
I think it's amazing. We need to bring more people to Ottawa, especially downtown in the buyer's market.
Coming up on CTV News at 5, the city of Ottawa predates Confederation and will be 200 years old this year. Details of celebration plans a little later, and everyone's invited to the party. Here's what you need to know. Cheer on the Ottawa Black Bears as they take on the Vancouver Warriors Friday night. It's happening at the Canadian Tire Centre at 7:30. Tickets are still available. Here's another live check on traffic in the westbound lanes. It's especially slow going around Parkdale. Eastbound, there is a collision around Bronson that's helping to slow things down this hour. You're watching CTV News at 5. Coming up later tonight on CTV, Best Medicine starts at 7, an episode of Will Trent at 8, followed by High Potential and The Rookie at 10. Now for another check on the weather forecast, here's Jackie.
Well, thanks so much, Stefan. Again, we had some mild temperatures today. There was a little bit of that wind picking up to make it pretty cool, but we are anticipating much colder temperatures by the time we get to the weekend. Here's a live look through our Centennial Glass Sky Cam showcasing downtown Ottawa where, it's minus 11 degrees out right now. But as we can see, when you factor in that wind chill, it's feeling closer to about minus 18. And a closer look now, right now, temperatures across Eastern Ontario also sitting between minus 11, minus 12. 12. It is going to get a little bit warmer or cooler though, but what we do want to focus on is the snow that's on its way for tomorrow. So already Kingston, a snowfall warning in effect where they could see between 10 to 20 centimeters of snow. This will start in the early hours of Wednesday morning, but there is no snowfall warning in effect for Ottawa or most of eastern Ontario, and that's because a lot of it's going to be focused. Light flurries around the valley. It's really going to be focused along south of Brockville, closer to Kingston for most of Wednesday. It's not until the early afternoon into early evening will we start to see significant snowfall moving through here in Ottawa, anticipating between 3 to 5 centimeters at most. But this could change, and we'll get a closer look and keeping a close eye on this as well. Temperature-wise, though, -7 is the anticipated daytime high, so we're still in around seasonal conditions. Slightly warmer around the Seaway. Periods of snow, -1 the daytime high for tomorrow, with the overnight low about -13. Tomorrow for the valley, daytime high will be -7. But again, when we see that snow moving at Wednesday, Thursday, much clearer conditions in terms of snowfall. However, light flurries will linger, and then the snow or the cold weather, that's when it's going to really kick in. Here's a closer look at that weather. -15 will be our Friday daytime high. -29 will be that overnight low, and this will trend into Saturday, where daytime high will be -18, overnight low -25, and then Sunday, similar conditions, -15, and overnight lows are -20. So, Stefan, the snow will be coming tomorrow, but then the colder weekend will be in store, so bundle up and be prepared.
That's right. Wearing all those layers, Jackie. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And here's a look at the stories you're checking out right now on ctvnewsottawa.ca. If you go to our homepage currently, we have all of our top stories on our website. But of course, we're keeping an eye on the job cuts taking place with the federal government. If you click here, these are the latest possible job cuts. We know several departments have issued notices, including Global Affairs Canada, Public Services and Procurement Canada, Shared Services Canada, Stats Can, and Natural Resources Canada issued 700 layoff notices this week. We have lots more to come.
Freud up ahead for Kopp to the Bricket, moves it and shoots.
Coming up on CTV News at 5, Sens on the road hoping for a win. Hopefully they can do it. We also have another live check on traffic right now. We can see some slowdowns in the westbound lanes at Parkdale in particular. You'll start to notice the slowdowns around Nicholas in the westbound lanes, and it will last all the way up towards around Pinecrest and Woodruff. Eastbound, there was a collision around the Bronson area, creating some hiccups there. And 416 southbound, it was slow around Baseline. You're watching CTV News at 5. We'll be right back.
Get the latest live local breaking news. Sign up now for our morning and evening CTV News Ottawa newsletter. The best local content from CTV News, Your Morning Ottawa, and News Talk 580 CFRA. Get it all in one place. Sign up now at ctvnewsottawa.ca. The CTV News Ottawa newsletter is brought to you in part by CAA Business.
Here's a live look through our Centennial Glass Sky Cam. The temperature right now, -11. Factor in that wind chill, it feels more like -18. Time now for a look ahead to CTV News at 6. Here's Patricia Bull.
Thanks, Steph. Here's what we're working on for 6 o'clock.
I understand, but it's so hard to justify the wait time.
An ambulance had one woman waiting 3 hours after she fell and broke both of her legs. We'll have the full story and what paramedic officials have to say about it.
There are a lot of things that we can do without necessarily going down the path of free transit in the immediate near term to make public transit a first instead of a last choice.
One group says OC Transpo should have times of day that you can ride for free, but the pitch is a $125 million plan.
You know, we want it to be easier. We don't want to have to open up all these different apps and different websites.
Plus, a sharp spike in AI getting use as a shopping helper. A new report shows more than half of Canadian shoppers are open to it, and that 30% are already using AI when they go to the store. That is a big jump from just a year ago. All of that and more is coming up tonight on CTV News at 6. That's right after the early edition of CTV National News with Sandy Ronaldo at 5:30. Steph.
Thank you, Patricia. Now the final 5 other stories we're following today.
An opportunity to show to Canadians that there's a place where you can come and celebrate, and there's big events going on throughout the year. We can draw more Canadian tourists.
It's a big year for the city of Ottawa, which started off as Bytown. This year marks 200 years since its inception, and plans are being made for several celebrations. Events include everything from a world record attempt to a tulip-themed corn maze, to art installations right across the city and more. We'll keep you updated throughout the year, and there are more details on our website.
It's quite expensive. It's been used for years in traditional totem pole making and things like that.
Police won't lay criminal charges after a school bus damaged Ottawa's newly built Kiweki Point. But the repair bill for the landmark lookout likely won't be cheap. According to the owner of the wood source in Manotick, the high-end Alaskan yellow cedar beams could cost a minimum of $40,000 to $50,000, and that's just for the wood, not including construction costs. The NCC says it's seeking compensation for the damage. Among the ongoing threats about Greenland, Donald Trump has posted some images online that are garnering attention. One is an AI-generated image depicting the U.S. president meeting in the Oval Office with European leaders. But have a look at that map. It shows the Western Hemisphere with American flags over Canada, Greenland, Cuba, and Venezuela. Another fake image shows Trump with an American flag and a sign saying Greenland was established as a U.S. territory in 2026.
Detroit up ahead for Kopp to the Bricket, moves it and shoots it.
The Ottawa Senators are on the road and looking to snap a two-game losing streak tonight in Columbus. Ottawa is coming off an overtime loss in Detroit on Sunday. You can catch the Senators take on the Blue Jackets at 7 p.m. Watch on TSN 5 or listen to colorful commentary on TSN 1200. And Cirque du Soleil's Big Top will return to Ottawa later this year. The popular show, Lucia, will perform under the Big Top tent at Saint Laurent Shopping Centre. According to Cirque du Soleil, Lucia is inspired by the people, places, and stories that define Mexico. That is CTV News at 5. I'm Stefan Keys. Be sure to join Patricia Bull for CTV News at 6. Thanks for watching.